The Civil War storyline is a very important pivotal event within the Marvel Universe. So I want to inform the viewers of the background of how it came to be. The actual storyline was created just 4 years after the terrorist attacks of September 11th, after which George Bush passed the Patriot Act. And this act really really angered a lot of Americans because they felt like their privacy and their civil liberties were being violated. And this led to the theory by social psychologist Eric Fromm from the Frankfurt School of Critical Theory that the basic human dilemma is the contradictory desire between freedom and security. The Civil War storyline is really based off this one theme. Do we want big government and thus more security, or do we want small government and thus freedom? Or is it possible to have both? So before we go any further, it is important to know when and how the two main characters of the story were created. Captain America versus Iron Man. Um, in 1941, World War II was ravaging through Europe. Joe Simon decided to contribute to the war by creating Captain America. He was morally repulsed by the genocide perpetrated by the Nazis, so he happily admits that Captain America is purposely a political character. And the origin story within the comic books for Captain America was actually influenced by Franklin Roosevelt's 1940 Selective Service and Training Act, which required that all males between 26 and 35 register for the military draft. So Captain America, Steve Rogers, goes to enlist but is rejected because of his frail, scrawny physique. Uh, so the government rejects him, but they also give him an opportunity. They ask him if he wants to volunteer for an experimental project called the Super Soldier Serum Project, and apparently this project maximizes human efficiency. So he says, what can I lose? And after he volunteers and sees very, very positive results, uh, Rogers ends up joining the fight alongside the U.S. soldiers in their efforts to thwart the Nazi regime and the Axis powers. And much of Captain America's beginning comics were actually centered on that theme, fighting and destroying fascism and communism. In fact, in the first couple Captain America issues, we see Captain America on the front cover punching either Hitler or Hirohito in the face. And in Civil War Frontline issue number 9, Captain America actually says that the genocide of Nazi Germany started with one bad idea, so he can't support another one, and he is referring to the Superhero Registration Act. So if anything even hinted of the government using more power than it was afforded, Captain America was against it. And that is exactly what happened with the Superhero Registration Act and why Captain America again opposed it. He viewed it as a violation of the superheroes' civil liberties because they were being forced to work for the government. Another problem Captain America had with the act was that he thought it would be detrimental to the people's safety. With the government choosing and deciding the priority of assignments, Captain America felt there were too many restrictions that would inhibit them from being there to protect the American people no matter what. And much like Captain America's character, Iron Man Tony Stark was created by Stan Lee during another important time in history, and that is the Vietnam War. In the Tales of Suspense issue number 39, Tony Stark makes his premiere in the fictional Vietnam jungles where he accidentally sets off a tripwire explosion that leaves him injured with fragments of shrapnel lodged around his heart. And consequently, he is captured and carried off to a prisoner camp. And the leader makes Stark this deal that if he makes him a powerful weapon, then he'll give Stark the necessary surgery to stop the shrapnel from reaching his heart and killing him. But Tony Stark knows this is a lie, and so he has to act fast to assemble something to first save his own life and then free him from the prison. And that is the first prototype of the Iron Man suit. So we can naturally see that when he finally eventually returns to America, he devotes his genius to partnering with the American government and helping stop the overseas threat of communism. And being a futurist and a visionary, Stark believes that his work in weapons development is needed for the greater good. So this origin was the foundation of Iron Man's his character's personality and why he joins with the government again on the pro-registration side in the Civil War storyline. It's very interesting to note that both Captain America and Iron Man were created in similar fashion. Captain America was created fighting against communism in World War II, and Iron Man was created fighting against communism in the Vietnam War. So we can definitely see that Captain America and Iron Man were created as political characters. And it further shows how deeply rooted the Civil War storyline is in political themes. The main one being the freedom versus security theme, or in other words, small government versus big government.